Today on Pandavision, we're talking about The Boys, Season 3, Episode 1. Just that single episode, and that episode is called Payback. Welcome to Pandavision, the stranded panda junk drawer, where we throw all the shows. My name's Matthew Carroll.
I'm Matthew Fox, they, them pronouns.
And I'm Ashley Coffin.
Hey guys, how are y'all doing?
Great.
Matt, I think if we're live streaming between Ashley and myself, you need to up your eyeshadow eye game.
I'll work on it. I really will.
Matt and I used to put on makeup right before streaming all the time together.
Yep. At some point, I just gave up. It's not that I didn't want to do it. It's just that I have I'm doing these way more often, and I'm just like, I can't do that. I don't have time.
That's fair. That's fair.
I don't have the energy, and I can get away with it. So, all right. Let's talk about The Boys, you guys. We only watched the first episode, so those of you joining us who've seen all three, first let me say, please send your feedback in to strandedpandanetwork@gmail.com. That'd be awesome. But please don't tell us too much. Well, we'll probably watch all three before we check the feedback. So just be aware. Leave us a spoiler alert, because we're going to be watching the other two this weekend, and I think Monday maybe we're going to get together for another podcast to talk about the other two episodes. So now all that's taken care of. What did you guys think of the first episode of The Boys?
I was just so happy to be back in this world. Like, they immediately are like, oh, did you forget how this show is? Let's show you right away and put you inside a dick.
Yep, they did. They put us inside a dick. First thing.
I've never seen. I thought he was going up his ass. I swear I did. I'm like, what? Wait a minute, what hole is that? Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's the exact reaction I had. Like the close up, I was like, that's not an asshole. Yep. I see what that is.
I had to rewind it.
I mean, they were both assholes, but yes, that was not what he is.
Oh.
It was putting you back into it, and it's funny, because I think sometimes, especially Matt, I've heard you and Jeff talk about this when you were talking about some of the older MCU shows and like first episodes, that sometimes like it's not great to have an episode that's really just kind of like reminding you what all the characters are doing. I thought that is kind of what this one was doing, but it did it very well, especially because this was definitely a like 6 months to a year later. As I admit, I have loved The Boys. I haven't rewatched it. I didn't really have a great memory of it, of exactly what was happening. And the first 10 minutes or so, I was a little confused, but it very quickly reminded me nope, this character is here. They're doing this. These characters are with this government agency now. They're doing this. But here's who Nadia is. Remember who she is. All this different stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a couple of reasons why I think it was important to do this episode and sort of a piece-setting episode. First of all, because of COVID, it's been 2 or 3 years since the last episode, or it's been 2 years. So it's been a long time. Maybe not. Maybe it's only been a year.
I think you're right, though. It felt like that with Stranger Things. I was like, did I even watch the other seasons of this show?
Yeah, it really feels like forever since TV's been around.
And Stranger Things, it's more pronounced because these actors are all in their 30s, and so if they age 2 years instead of 1. But on Stranger Things, it's oh, nope.
Oh, they were babies.
Puberty came through that cast like a truck,
Well, the other reason I think it's very important they did this is because, like you said, it's been some time, and a piece-setting episode is totally fine, or placing the pieces on the board, if those pieces have moved and you're fine. Every scene was new information, and it really laid the table for that last scene where we see Butcher and Homelander together. And I think this episode is all about this is what peacetime is like, and peacetime and it's a peace treaty. It's not like someone won the war. You know what I mean? So there's this each side has won some things and each side has lost some things, and the two warriors, the two wartime people are no, this is not what I want. I don't want peacetime. I want wartime. And they're both ready to go at it.
I'm going to throw this your way because I know you're our Star Trek guy. That wonderful scene of Butcher and Homelander together as, clearly people who hate each other, but kind of want to help each other so they can get back to the fight.
Yeah.
It reminded me a lot of Star Trek VI, The Undiscovered Country.
Oh, yeah.
Where
absolutely.
There's this potential peace deal between the Klingons and the Federation, and both Klingons and Federation people, along with Romulans, all try to undermine it. Because they're let's work together so we can keep fighting each other. And it was just it seems ridiculous and contrived, but it makes so much sense for these two characters.
The greatest of enemies working together to undermine peace so they can keep killing each other. And that's exactly what this is.
Right.
Yeah. And on top of that, the other big reveal this episode is the fact that, I forget what they called it, the agency that Huey's working for. Anybody? Mm-hmm. They called it something or whatever.
I think it's like the Department of Supernatural something or other.
Right. Whatever that
Supernatural Affairs.
That was it.
We knew last season that the senator had exploded the heads. That was the big reveal. But this time, when she makes that call at the end, I'm not 100%. This is a theory, I guess, but she's calling Vought, right?
I would think so, because he said something about having somebody on the inside.
Which one said something about having somebody on the inside?
I just call him Gus, and I know his name's not Gus, because that was his name on Breaking Bad.
Yes, Gus Fring. I do too, and oh gosh, what is his name?
Oh, hang on, I got it.
Mr. something. Yeah, somebody told me what that name is. Golly.
Yeah, like I just think of him as the Grand Moff from Mandalorian.
Yeah. He's having quite a time in all of the universes.
His name's Stan Edgar.
Mr. Edgar. That's what they're always calling him. I didn't remember him saying something about having someone on the inside. That's huge, especially if it's the senator. But her calling all freaked out and saying, I need a team. Like, that's gotta be Vought. She is like the main force behind building this thing. And she is from Vought. And now we know Mr. Edgar doesn't want Soups anyway. Like, he doesn't want Soups. Yeah. He wants them to be a military and pharmaceutical company. So, like, this is all Edgar. Every side of this, except for the boys themselves, is just Edgar puppeting everybody. And now that Huey knows, now Huey is their inside man inside of...
The inside.
Yeah, inside of the inside of the inside, yeah.
There was so many men on the inside in this episode.
So many men on the inside of so many men.
I see what you did there.
I don't see what Stan's, like, having Starlight be captain. I don't see exactly what he thinks good's going to come from that.
I think he's just trying to lower the status of Homelander. I think if Mr. Edgar could, he would get rid of Homelander altogether. And I don't know, maybe Mr. Edgar has some... What did he say? He said this episode, I think you know why, to Starlight. Mm-hmm. He's like, I hope he heard me. As long as I'm here, I'm in control. And I think you know why. I don't know why. Like, why does Mr. Edgar think he's immune to Homelander?
I think, didn't we, and here I'm trying to remember from last season, but we know there's that video of when him and Maeve were on the plane and he let all those people die. Yep. And I think Edgar has the video.
I think so too.
I wouldn't doubt that at all, yeah.
And my impression is, the sense that I got at least, is that he doesn't want to release the video, but he wants to let, Homelander screw himself, but which he probably actually would do literally if he could.
Oh, we've seen it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's true. I think especially after all the Stormlight stuff, and he's trying so hard to do the like, oh, I'm just I make mistakes, etc. Mm-hmm. I think Edgar is both trying to lower him. He's trying to put Starlight higher up because she's so beloved. I think he is intentionally needling Homelander, though, because he knows that the more times Homelander cracks on live TV, and it's not, Edgar releasing a secret tape, it's just Homelander did it to himself, that's going to make it easier and easier for him to push Homelander out the door.
Mm-hmm. Well, but that's the thing. What does putting him out the door mean? Like, his whole thing is he wants to be this leader of the Seven, and if he's not, I'm worried what he'll do, especially what he will do to Mr. Edgar. Like, I just, unless Edgar has some sort of, Edgar says this episode, power is not this, using his hands, and he says power is being able to shape the world the way you want it to be. Right. And he's been able to do that, but I feel like if he crosses the line too much with Homelander, unless he has some sort of physical way of stopping Homelander, which we don't know yet.
No, he has to have kryptonite, like some kind of kryptonite for him.
Yeah. Right. I don't know.
I don't remember.
I think it'd be interesting because I think on one hand it could be that he's got like a kryptonite of some kind. I also think it could be his arrogance, and that because I think as he would see it, he would think that Homelander would think there's a big difference between being still a superhero but pushed out of the spotlight, maybe no longer part of the Seven, versus being a literal fugitive from the law because they see that he let all these people die on the plane.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
But I think this may be like, I think he may be overestimating the power he thinks he has over Homelander. And I'm guessing that's going to be a part of the tension. But maybe he has kryptonite, you know?
Yeah.
We've never been alluded to the fact that he has any kind of kryptonite that I know of. And I do think that it's stupid if he doesn't. He is being very full of hubris if he doesn't have some sort of way to stop Homelander. At least that he thinks he can stop Homelander. I don't think it'll work. I just feel like we're gonna get, especially now that we have Stormfront is alive and he's still. So what I'm fearing the storyline is here, and I oh man, is just the fact that like Homelander's is a terrible person, so he's being pushed further and further away from people that are around him. Everyone sees through him. No one likes him except for the public. And then if that all falls apart, he's going to turn to the one person who would give him affection, which is Stormfront. And he's, even though this episode, he's very resistant to her racism and Ubermensch and all this stuff. Like, I have a feeling he'd be willing to build that army if he got pushed too far, which it's like, I don't want to say like, don't push Homelander any further, but at the same time, I'm like, you got to do this intelligently or you're just going to push him over the edge and he's going to start building a Nazi army.
Yeah. That scene was when they're just talking and she's just, helping him out there.
Oh my God.
I still think that his like sort of genuine anti-racism is hilarious because he's such a horrible person.
What?
And I love the fact that like she's giving him a hand job and she starts to recite Nazi talking points and he's just like, no, you're ruining this. You're ruining this for me.
Flawless Aryan Kinderstatten. He's like, what? Ugh, no, stop it.
So funny.
Here's my take on it. First of all, I hope they're not going to keep her as a major plot thing going because I think we've had a season about her. I think this is more going to be about him. Like maybe he kills her or maybe like he cuts ties with her somehow or she's just there in the hospital bed.
Yeah. I don't think they showed her to us for no reason. I think that she's like the whispering in his ear of the power he needs to possess.
Definitely. But I also think, I don't think that he's anti-racist in any real, like I don't think he's bothered by her feeling. I think for him, it's that it's sort of like he thinks that she cares about the wrong thing because I think for he's not racist in that he thinks all humans are beneath him.
Yeah, agreed.
And so the idea that any human could be part of an Ubermensch, be they Aryan or black or, Swedish or whatever, it doesn't matter to him because he's like, they're all ants compared to us, the superhero people.
In his very, supremacist way, he's kind of post-racial. He's very supremacist, but it's not along racial lines. Like, he doesn't think about it that way.
Yeah,
it's him, other soups, and then regular humans. And it's all about just power dynamics. And like, if I have the most power, I am the best being, and you should bow down to me.
That's right. Anthony Starr, he's just doing such a good job. He always every scene with him, he's just like mesmerizing to watch. Like when they were standing there and Huey's next to him all of a sudden when they were doing the red carpet, just that stare that he does. And then he's like the perfect example of like bully hurting other people, like with his interaction with the Deep. It's just, I can't stop watching him. He is definitely my favorite part of the show just because his acting is so superb. That guy is amazing.
It's really amazing, especially because, and I'm still so mad at the show for this, I have some degree of sympathy for him.
I have it written there too, and I didn't want to say it.
And he's a horrible person, and I want to see him. I don't think there's any way that he, like the end game of this show. I mean, maybe because they love breaking your ideas, so maybe he lives. But I think to some extent, him and Butcher have to wind up killing each other. But like, it's just it's because I think he's horrible and terrible, and it's not like I want to excuse anything he does. But during that scene where Edgar is basically demoting him and saying, yeah, isn't it great that Starlight's going to be on your co-captain now? And like, that Edgar knows exactly how to twist the knife. And it both reveals how awful and horrible Homelander is, but I was also a little like, oof, Edgar, you're you're not pulling your punches either there, friend. And I love it, I think, especially because to me, a lot of what the show is about is, okay, who has power? You know, it reminds me of, oh God, what's that? Oh, in Game of Thrones, when there's that Varys has that question for Tyrion of, you know, okay, there's a soldier and then there's a king and a rich man and a I forget the exact details, but basically like this question of like, who has power? What's the real kind of power? And Edgar, Butcher, Huey, and Homelander each have a very different kind of power. And so much of this is about, it's not about like, am I a stronger puncher than you? It's about, is my punching more powerful than your money or your government influence or your secret agent stuff or whatever it's going to be?
Yeah, absolutely. And his performance, as you were mentioning, has just been so amazing. And he went to a, the actor who plays Homelander went to a different place this episode than I've seen him go before. We've seen him go, red-eyed, angry, and we've seen, but he had this growl that I don't think we've heard before. And there were two moments in this episode where he just went, went full on guttural growl at people. And one of them was when he grabbed a hold of A-Train and says something like, shit. He just went whoa. He is like demon possessed angry voice. It was intense.
Yeah.
I think because we're seeing him at a different stage,
Yeah.
Until now, it has been only some people, he never has to apologize. He can be the person he is. Remember that rally where people almost turned against him, but he got them back on his side. But now he's publicly known as the guy who was partnered with a Nazi.
I just fell for the wrong woman.
Like that scene where he realizes that the Deep got like front billing of him on this TV show is just hilarious because he goes to the angry place, but at first I think it was just shock.
Yeah.
He wasn't ready to accept that he's not top billing anymore.
Yeah.
I love that his fiance was like, what was that? And he's like, I actually think that went really well for an interaction with Homelander.
Yep. He did. That was wonderful.
I loved the beginning. The first 10 minutes were amazing. I felt like they were making fun of us, and I was totally okay with it. Right. They were making fun of themselves. They even got, how many times is Charlize Theron going to show up in something where she's like, she made fun of her own thing from, I won't spoil it, but from something else. But she was also she had that character with Hitchcock. It was just very funny to me.
Yeah, that was great.
And that they were calling it Dawn of the Seven from Vought Studios. It writes itself.
The Bogger cut or whatever. They said, because the hashtag release the, I wrote it down, release the something cut, release the Bork cut. Yeah.
Oh my God, they're making fun of us now. And I'm okay with it. It
was so good. That we had to reshoot everything. And that scene of the destroyed, I remember I was looking at it. I was like, is this Gotham? This looks like, a scene from one of the daydreams from the Justice League or whatever. In the Snyder Cut type stuff.
I'm sure it was very much supposed to look like that. I'm surprised it wasn't black and white.
Yeah.
That would have been almost too far. I would have loved that.
I want to say hands up for Ashley, because Ashley knows what she wants. She knows how to get it.
Ashley's like rough sex. What can I say? Rip my hair out.
We've seen her. We have seen her be kicked around and be to me, she's that definition of the bully who the shit rolls down onto her, but then she turns around and puts it onto everyone else.
Yeah.
And just that, and then she walks out. I think it's Huey who sees them, and she's just whatever. That was me and Rain Johnson in there just getting down. I was like, that's who it looked like to me. I was laughing. The glasses and the...
Man, speaking of not kink shaming, I actually ended up feeling really bad about the cocaine.
The sneeze?
Yeah, the sneeze. Because they never really give us context of those two's relationship, but he looks truly horrified when that happens. He doesn't look... I think that was on purpose. I don't think they wanted us to think they were in a relationship otherwise, because it would have been even worse. But that was clearly not on purpose. It was a drug-fueled mistake, which is terrible. And I'm sure it's still manslaughter legally, but that was basically them doing a consensual sex act, and then his drugs caused him to mess up his powers and kill someone we don't know if that was his partner or just a guy from the party or what. But I felt really bad for him because even the main characters were all yeah, he did this horrible thing. We found him with this, we found him with a dead body and da-da-da. And I'm like, yeah, but
it was an accident.
It was an accident. And it was horrible. That was terrible. Oh, I just felt bad for that guy.
Yeah.
I definitely felt bad for him. I thought Huey and the agency had told Butcher to go after this guy because he was doing other bad stuff.
Possibly.
Like it's not that they were just like, oh God, he's about to do something terrible with this guy.
Yeah. Right,
Let's
sure.
get him for that.
Yeah.
But like,
Butcher he was violating that little Barbie doll.
Yeah. So clearly, I don't think he's a good person, but yeah, I also was like, oh, that's and like I get capturing him in the Ziploc bag, but then shaking it up like that,
right? I guess the only thing they really showed as him doing that was like illegal or bad was the drugs. Mm-hmm. I guess that's my only problem with that scene. I kind of wish most of the soups they really try to give us like a horrible thing they do, and then they get them punished, and this one just kind of like. He did drugs, which is irresponsible when you can't control your powers after them, I guess. But like, dang,
that scene was just to show us that they could do the Thanos butt thing. Like that's like I know it wasn't his butt, but they didn't need anything else. I don't care what they did. I got to see what that would probably look like, and I didn't. I was like, oh, I didn't want that.
Yep.
Oh,
yeah. I had that in my notes. It's even worse. Like I thought, as you said, I thought he was going in the back door, and I really thought that they were going for a Thanos butt reference. And then they went the other way with it, and it was even worse for me. I did not like it. I hated it.
Get to my prostate.
Oh gosh, no, it's so bad.
I mean, I think that's the thing, though. Like that was definitely their version of the Thanos butt reference, but they were like, we're not going to just do the Thanos butt. We're going to raise the Thanos butt reference. Bar. Like, you think that's what Ant-Man should do? No.
I also wondered about the physics of it, because if you're in the penis, sorry to go so deep into this. I feel like if you exploded out of the penis, mostly the penis would explode and the guy would fly. I guess we don't know how deep he was. Sorry. Didn't mean to get into the physics of that scene.
There was a scene kind of like that in True Blood where one of the shapeshifters turns into a fly and flies into the lady and explodes from the inside.
Yeah.
And that kind of did the same sort of thing. So I'm like, TV says it works.
Yeah. No. The penis is an external organ, though. I guess we don't know how deep he was.
Well,
that's what
he was pretty. He was on the way to the prostate.
That's true. He was on the way to the prostate. Good point.
So I've removed my headphones because I cannot listen to this conversation without being sickened. So just give me a thumbs up when you're ready for me to come back.
You're good. Come on back.
Then it blew out the back of his ball.
You beat me to it, Ashley.
We're kidding. It's fine.
You can come back, Matthew. It's okay. Kittens and puppies.
Just don't.
Let me see.
Here's the thought, though, I was going to say about that. In terms of why they went after this guy, if we know that, I mean, we don't, but like if the theory is that like Vought is kind of like feeding information to these folks, like that's if you've got the police in your pocket, then yeah, you throw them some bones of your lowest level people.
Yeah.
Maybe also like, okay, one of your low level people you think is skimming a little bit, throw them to the cops.
Oh, and then it was Maeve who was tipping them off on these different guys, which was interesting.
Yep.
Because she was like, I got you Termite, right?
Mm-hmm. That was Termite, yep.
And you guys just let him go. And I'm like, oh, there's this whole barter and trade. But then I was like, oh, it's you. How interesting.
Right.
Yeah.
And I kind of love them working together, by the way.
Me too. I mean, I love when she showed up last season. That fight where the three ladies beat off Stormfront was just amazing.
Yeah, it was great.
So good.
I love the way you said that.
Yep, sorry. I've said that twice this week, talking about a fight scene.
They beat them off. At least that happened once in this episode, so you're close.
It did. Sorry, I was confusing my scenes. My bad.
I mean, that's the thing in the kink world. There's all these different scenes.
But speaking of Maeve, she's about to bring my favorite kink that's about to happen in the show in Soldier Boy. I can't wait. I'm like, stop teasing him and just bring him forward. So maybe he's the secret weapon that's supposed to be able to stop Homelander. That's kind of what they're saying, right?
Well, no. They said what they're saying is he's dead, so they don't know he's alive. I think he may still be alive, or he may just be in flashbacks. We heard this actor was playing this character.
I mean, he's such a big name actor, and they did make such a big deal of it that I was very surprised that like this is your headline of the third season, and he's not on screen. Like I think that was a good choice, and it was a very bold choice. But I was like, I kind of like that you didn't just give it to him. You're going to make our heroes go search for him.
I love it.
Yeah. What is supposedly said is he was as powerful as Homelander back in the day, and there was a weapon that supposedly killed him, and that weapon exists somewhere, and now they're going to go seek out...
like a Stormbreaker.
Yes, exactly. So they're going to go seek out the weapon that killed him. I wonder if Edgar has that weapon. Now that we loop it all back around to what we were talking about earlier, that would make a lot of sense if Edgar knows about the weapon, because it was also in a secret file that Maeve brought out. So, like, if Vought knows about the weapon, maybe Edgar has it in just in case.
Yeah.
Like, I know these characters age very slowly, so it's certainly possible that, like, Soldier Boy can have been active in, like, the 80s, but still look like, you know, Jensen Ackles is going to look like today, which is not that old.
Cryo freeze.
But what if we're going to get a bunch of flashbacks? What if we're going to get a lot about young Edgar and, like, kind of early days history of Vought
Payback
starting?
Team and the,
like,
I love that.
How good would that be, right?
I love that. What I want as a Marvel fan is that they're going to go searching for Soldier Boy and find him in the ice, like they found Cap in the ice.
Yeah.
Or like they said he was at some reactor. Let's say he's at some reactor and he died at some reactor. And according to the record, it exploded and killed him. But there's actually this weapon. What if that reactor, like, I don't know, caused some sort of freeze or caused him to be like frozen in some sort of radiation or whatever. Yeah. And then they find him a la Captain America and bring him out of the ice. What would be badass is if they did a full episode like you're talking about, where Edgar is like, basically they do First Avenger, but for this universe, and they show us the 80s background, and then the end of the episode is Butcher finding him in the ice. You know what I mean? That would be...
I love that.
Mwah,
See,
French kiss.
I think that's possible. Or to tie it back into the conversation we had before, what if Edgar already found him in the ice?
Oh, yeah.
And he's still frozen.
And just has him somewhere.
And that's Edgar's, like, that's his kryptonite, is he's like, okay, once Homelander's about over, I'm going to reactivate, I'm going to, you know, pull Soldier Boy out of the cryonic thing that, you know, Winter Soldier went in, or whatever it is, and then have him as my bodyguard, because I know he can defeat Homelander.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd like that too. And Jensen Ackles, he auditioned for Captain America and got pretty far.
Oh, wow.
So that's why it was super funny that he's doing like the Captain America version of
Parody,
The Boys.
yeah.
It's perfect.
That's awesome.
I love it. I can't wait to just see him act as something other than Dean.
Yeah.
It's been so long.
The only thing I guess I want to mention is the thing at the end where the senator ends up killing Tony. She seems legitimately very upset to have killed Tony. His death was terrifying and awful.
That was gruesome.
So gruesome. Right. But when she's talking to him, he says, you have to tell them. You have to stop them. You have power now. You got to tell them the truth about Red River. And so I think, my theory is that what is happening to Huey and to Starlight now probably happened to her at some point. Like, she probably came into this whole thing to stop Soups. And then Vought has slowly bought her off. You know what I mean? And so I don't think she's complete. I think she's working with Vought in some way, but I don't think she's fully... I mean, clearly they would know about her because they would have had to give her powers, right?
Maybe she has the serum and she's just taking it.
That's possible.
That power is weird because I thought she could just explode brains,
right?
But she exploded his hands first, one at a time, and I was like,
and then like his jaw,
and his jaw, and then his entire body. So it seems like she can explode any body
everything.
Part.
Yeah,
she's like a microwave for people. That's disgusting.
And we keep calling her the senator. It's important to think she's now the director. She's Huey's boss. She's the director of.
Right,
oh, gotcha.
And her fake name is Victoria, right? Victoria Newman.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And they showed Huey. I think that's going to be that's part of the thing, is because Huey like was pretty friendly with her.
Yeah.
And but now he's seen all this, and it's just like
and now he's got to play it cool.
I was thinking last year, wasn't she like in a campaign office trying to like get votes for herself last season? So I guess I thought
was it her? Somehow, yeah, because she was like the AOC.
Yeah, like the AOC analog that we talked about.
Yeah, but I think you get reelected as a senator, but then you kind of get appointed to this.
Right, and it's been what, a year since the okay.
Mm-hmm. So she's built this, and now she's got Huey, and I think that we're going to get a scene. Or I think the storyline is going to be Huey kind of turning on her, trying to figure out how to bring her down. But the truth is, like, she kind of started the same way he did, wanting to bring it all down. So I think that's going to be an interesting emotional arc for her.
Yeah.
Right? Well, especially because one thing we've seen, like Huey's arc, is watch something, get horrified by it, want to back away, then realize the thing you got horrified by is actually better than everything else, you know? And so I think that's very possible. And I just want that because honestly, like the only sour note in this whole show was Huey being jealous.
I agree. Like you're over there flirting with AOC and she's never given you any reason to think that she's going to cheat on you. I did appreciate that, like, as it came out of his mouth, he was like, oh, that wasn't great.
Yeah.
I think sometimes jealousy is, it's something that we've all, either it's inborn in us or it's something we're taught by society. And like, it's a thing that, sometimes we can't help that initial reaction, and he knew it as soon as it came out of his mouth. He went,
not a good look.
That wasn't a good, and I loved her reaction because she didn't overreact his jealousy either. She said, not a good look, not a good look. You check yourself, buddy.
And then the later, like, oh, we didn't have lots of sex, just lots of butt stuff. Like, I like that she kind of twists his tail about it a little bit, I want to say the one thing just on the Eccles of it all, because like I'm not the Supernatural fan that you are, Ashley, but let's talk about the fact that if he's going to be in this, we've also got Bobby.
I know.
Senator Bobby. That made me so happy.
It makes me think that somebody might have been like, I know who's perfect for this role.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm excited about getting him. I don't know anything about it. I've never seen that show. I've seen the first episode, I think. But I'm excited that it's an 80s group of soups. I don't know if y'all saw the picture they showed. Looked super 80s.
Crimson Countess.
Yeah. Like I'm excited because that's where Butcher's going next, is to find those 80s soups to try to track down what happened to him. And I can't wait to see the like look of the 80s soups and what they're doing now and like washed up superheroes. Right. That sounds fun.
Yeah, it's going to be cool.
Have they, like, I know that we now know that some people had superpowers all the way back to World War II. Mm-hmm. But have they said when, like, the public became aware of superpowers?
I think it's been at least back that far. I think they knew about...
Okay.
Like, because that's the thing, Stormfront was not a secret. It was the thing that was revealed was that it was the same person. Because she came out as a different character. And, like, then they were like, wait, you're the same person as this person from the Third Reich.
That's right, yeah. I like that they've built that history. Because there is a sense of, like, by this point, the culture of superheroes is so ingrained, and the fact that there's now these multi-generational families and like that, and just all the like the Christian capes and kids being raised, and I so loved getting the little bit about the Christian boy, the superhero boy band. That was just like
I know.
I love all of the like religious stuff, both the Christian stuff, but also the cult that's happening. Like I just love the like. Enderming, because that's absolutely what would happen. Like corporations would have heroes, yes, but so would religious leaders, and like they just have like the Christian superhero. Anything that in our world, anything that becomes corporatized also gets co-opted by religious leaders, and like I just think that's so much fun. We've talked about it a lot in the past, but I love to see it again. I love to see the boy band.
Yeah,
it was so good.
It was very funny. I can't wait to keep going.
Me too. Okay, guys. Well, we're gonna cut it pretty short tonight because we're only doing the first episode, and we're still gonna come back together early next week to try to do the full premiere that with all 3 episodes and talk about what happens in the next 2.
We should have known better. They did this last time.
They did, but honestly, we couldn't have planned it better anyway, so this was probably our best bet. So, we'll be back soon. Anybody want to plug anything?
TheEthicalPanda.com. That's where you'll find all my stuff.
Yeah.
We're doing a lot about Kenobi with Ashley, with Paul, with the Hayashis. TheEthicalPanda.com.
Sweet. And you can find everything else at strandedpanda.com. Also, send in feedback. We might be able to do a feedback at the end of next week's episode at strandedpandanetwork@gmail.com. Peace.
War.
Love.
Thank you for listening to Pandavision. We are a member of the Stranded Panda Network. For all of our podcasts and other creative geeky projects, check out strandedpanda.com.